Alrighty. Welcome back to another top 10. I might have to take a day break because catching up to ourselves pretty quickly here. This is not good. It's starting to become stressful. Yeah, welcome to my top 10 games of 2022. Not like my games of all time, but the games that I played for the first time this year. I mentioned this in an earlier video. I excluded these games because these are not games that came out this year. I also delayed this list because there was one game that I was playing that I was positive was going to make this list, or I was about to start playing, and spoiler alert, it made the list. But yeah. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with our honorable mentions. I'm not gonna go over these ones like I did the other videos that I did honorable mentions in. Just know that these games are really good, but for me, just don't make the top 10. We have Yakuza 0, Detroit Become Human, Under Night in Birth, Tell Me Why, Life is Strange True Colors, and Guilty Gear Strive. Once again, all great games in their own right, just not great enough to make this list. Alright, so the bottom 5 of this list is not ordered necessarily. I think it's like maybe a bit of order, but the order that I go in, honestly, these bottom five could switch around at any point in time. Let's get started. Number 10, we have Cyberpunk 2077. This game. Now, I was in the camp. I was really excited for this game when it first came out, and then it came out, and I just had I had no interest in it. All the bugs and stuff made me stray away from buying the game. And I heard how they fixed it, right? How it was fixed. That was a good game now. And then Edge Runners came out. I watched that and loved it. I loved Edge Runners. I was like, yeah, maybe I should go play the games. Play the game. I bought the game, played through all of it, beat it. It was so good. I had so much fun. I think story wise, it's fine. It's not amazing. It's not anything amazing story wise. However, I just had a lot of fun with it. It's just like it's futuristic GTA, but I had more fun with it than I will ever have GTA because I enjoy GTA, but I don't have like it's not, it doesn't amaze me. It's not a game that I go back and play all the time, like over and over and over again. Cyberpunk is just futuristic GTA, but even just more fun than I could ever have. Like just riding around the city with motorcycles, just using futuristic guns or freaking katana to kill people and officers, and like doing the side missions and side quests and the main story and all, and how beautiful the game is, all just kind of makes for a amazing experience for me, and I would highly recommend it if you've watched Edge Runners. If you haven't, I'd still recommend it, but I'd also recommend it more if you've watched Edge Runners. Number 9, the most recent game to make this list, and the one that I I was debating on putting it on here or not because I'm not too far into it, but I might as well. Ghost of Tsushima. Now, I just got a PS5 recently, and one the first games that I downloaded and installed and started playing was Ghost of Tsushima, and let me tell you, this game is a lot of fun. I think at times it's like kind of frustrating, but it's a lot of fun. This is beautiful. It is ridiculously beautiful. So beautiful, in fact, that if you didn't know, I love photo modes in video games. If you've watched my God of War 2018 Let's Play, spoiler alert, that is higher up on the list. But if you've watched my God of War 2018 Let's Play on my second channel, then you would know that I stopped like every 5 to 10 minutes to take a picture, to go into photo mode. And that doesn't change. However, this photo mode gives me power. More power. It lets me affect particles. And besides like the normal color saturation and depth of field and all that, it lets me affect the time of day, the weather, the freaking particles, the particle sensitivity, the wind direction, the wind speed. Like, it is insane. It's giving me too much power. And on top of that, it's beautiful. The graphics are absolutely amazing, not only in the photo mode and throughout the entire game. It is phenomenal. And then the combat is also a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's very difficult at times, trying to switch back and forth between like stances and stuff, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I can't wait to keep playing right after I finish filming and editing this video. Next up, a game that I played like way earlier this year, like in freaking February, March, like no, maybe January, February. Final Fantasy 9. I hadn't played FF9 before. Actually, that's not true. I got like 4 hours into FF9 like 2 years ago, and I never beat it. So I went back, bought it on Switch, beat it, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was great. I think just the fantasy aspect. I think the reason why I'm looking forward to FF16 so much is because we're going back to like medieval fantasy aspects of Final Fantasy that I enjoyed at FF9. FF9, while being a lighthearted game and fun game at times, was also just very depressing. FF9 is just a depressing game overall, and like especially the themes and the idea of just not being alone and not the ideas of being alone and not fitting in, and you know the whole thing with Vivi just is wild. It's insane. Um, but it did hit, and it was great. But I would say it hit as much as the games above it. Next up, number 7, another game that I played on the channel, on my second channel. We have, or at least the first game that we've played on the second channel, Yakuza Kiwami. Now, I'll go on the record to say that I enjoyed Kiwami more than I did Yakuza 0. I think that's because Nishiki is one of my favorite characters, and so same thing with Majima, and both characters just made that game way more enjoyable, way more interesting between Majima Everywhere and then Nishiki's backstory, seeing him from Yakuza 0 to Yakuza Kiwami. I think 0 really does make this game better in every way possible. And I think this is my favorite version of combat that I've played so far in the Yakuza franchise. I'm only up to Yakuza 4, so I don't know how 5 and 6 are. And I know 7's turn-based. I mean, I love turn-based games, but I feel like Yakuza Kiwami's combat I had a lot of fun with, and I think it's the most tolerable combat out of like all of them. It was great, and the story, while very simplistic and very repetitive, like after you like get further into the Yakuza games, you're like, okay, these are all starting to feel the same. I think out of all those feel the same-ish stories, I think I enjoyed this one the most, and I would highly recommend it. Of course, it's not everybody's favorite, but it is mine. Number 6, the final game in like this bottom top 5 that can easily be switched around. We have Final Fantasy VII Remake. Spoiler alert, not the last Final Fantasy game on this list. I had Final Fantasy VII Remake is a game that I had already played, or not already played. I had already watched multiple Let's Plays of, and I still wanted to play it for myself and get everything out of it. And I'm gonna play it on my second channel eventually after because I just finished Crisis Core. I was like, I'm probably gonna end up playing Rebirth on the second channel. Why not play Remake? But Remake, I know a lot of people, a decent amount of people didn't like where they took the story towards the end, but I am very excited to see where it goes. I love the combat. Whoever came out with that combat and integrating it with Final Fantasy VII was just a genius. The combat feels like Final Fantasy VII. It feels like it flows. It feels like it fits in perfectly. All the characters are like I grew attached to more than I did in OG FF7. Because while playing OG FF7, I was like, yeah, I enjoy these characters. I'm attached to them. But I feel more attached to them in Remake, especially like Cloud and Aerith. I like Tifa enough. I think Tifa's fine in this game. I think she's cool. And then Barrett's great. It just has comedic relief. But I think the Barrett, we have to explore more of Barrett's past when we get to his story in Rebirth. When we, do everything with like exploring his background, how he lost his arm in Shinra, blah blah blah. But specifically Cloud and Aerith, I feel like Cloud is the same old Cloud. However, he has more of a personality, you could say, because Cloud had always had personality, but more of a personality in which he was more enjoyable to watch on screen. I love seeing his interactions, and then how he grew as a character to care more for Aerith and all of his other friends over the entirety of the game was just amazing. It's just like him breaking out of the shell. And then Aerith, I think this is the game that made me like Aerith more than Tifa, and that's another controversial opinion. But this is the game that made me like Aerith more than Tifa because I feel like Aerith's portrayal in this game, and then even in going on to Crisis Core, was just so phenomenal. It's so good, and it's why I prefer Aerith. It's just so good to the point where it's like I just don't understand how they could take a character from the first game that was and go to remake, and it's just like how the improvement is insane. Yeah, maybe the and then getting on to other stuff. Maybe the fate stuff at the end was meh, but I personally like that because it opens us up for new opportunities. Because as much as I want like a one-to-one remake, I also want to see other. Like, I also want to explore new stuff in the Final Fantasy VII universe, as well. So maybe like new ideas, new concepts. Like I still hope we visit all the same places and hit all those same story beats in Rebirth, but new ideas, new concepts in the universe, I would really appreciate that. But overall, FF7R, great game. Would highly recommend. From here to number one, number five to number one, all of these games are ordered from my least favorite to my favorite. So now it's easier for me to talk about it in comparison to the others. Number five, we have God of War 2018. I played this game for the first time in early to mid-November, and loved every part of it. I think the one thing I didn't like about it, or at least this was kind of my fault on my end. My computer just did not want to run it and like want to record and stream at the same time. So it's like I had to choose one or the other because normally I record and stream. And I know that's like counterintuitive, but it's like I prefer to like download. I don't like downloading my streams. I just like to have it. But God of War 2018, I think it was a lot of fun. I already talked about I've talked about most of these in a quick review at this point. But the thing about God of War 2018 is that the dynamic between Kratos and Atreus is great. Weaving in like the Kratos' past in the first God of War games, like the original God of War games, and keeping all that secret from Atreus, and all the characters and stuff just feel great. The environments are great. It's a beautiful game. Photo mode, of course, makes it a 10 out of 10. But I would highly recommend this game to anybody. And Ragnarok, I'm going to start Ragnarok on the channel in a couple of days. So if there's any hope that I have for Ragnarok, I hope there's more characters. I hope there's like more NPCs and stuff like that. Because I think my one issue with God of War 2018 is that at times the world felt very empty. Like you had Freya, the dwarves, some of the gods, not even all of the gods, some of the gods, and Kratos and Atreus and Mimir, and it's just like that's it. Like it feels like an empty game. It feels like there's like nobody around. I'm not a massive fan of. I wasn't a massive fan of that, but I'm hoping it improves in God of War Ragnarok, as I know we're going to be going to Asgard and stuff like that. But I'm hoping that improves at some point. But overall, really would highly recommend. Loved it so much. And I'll probably play it again after I finish Ragnarok. Number 4. This is another game in the same vein as FF7 Remake, where I have watched a Let's Play of this way too many times for my own good, and I've enjoyed it, and I finally got the chance to play it for the first time this year. This is Persona 5 Royal. I beat this game with about 130 hours or something like that, something close to that. And it was phenomenal. It is just I think I didn't enjoy it as much as I did if I would have had like my first Let's Play doing it, my first playthrough by like going in blind. However, I still loved it, and especially like I've watched Royal playthroughs and have heard great things from Maruki, but I just I didn't remember going in. I didn't remember what happens during the Royal stuff. I remember exactly what happens during the main story, but like when it comes to like the Royal and the Maruki stuff, I just could not remember. So when I got to that point, I was like, good God, this is amazing. That final fight with Maruki has to be one of the best final fights just ever. The gimmick of, Maruki, they're talking to you and trying to convince you and taking away your stuff is kind of cool to me. The tentacles were not. But it also has, I think, one of the greatest final boss themes in any video game. With the duo of keep your faith and throw away your mask. Both those songs are just chef's kiss. Like it's just phenomenal songs. Even that's like the main campaign. I think everything about Persona 5 Royal is just phenomenal. It's the characters are great for the most part. The palaces are great for the most part. Akuma's palace could go burn in hell for all I care, and everything else about it I loved. I loved it so much. But the thing is that because it's not my first playthrough, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I probably would have if it was. But still a great game overall. All of these I would highly recommend. Number 3. Now we're actually getting to the top 5 video games of all time territory. Number 3, Devil May Cry 5. This is the last game that I played on the channel, along with Yakuza Kiwami and God of War, and some of the honorable mentions. This is the last game that I played on the channel, the last one that I have. That's on this list. And this game is amazing. This game is so good. It's just so much fun. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't understand how they made a game that is just so much fun but has the story. I think out of all these games on this list, this is the most fun game. Like stringing together combos and like the music going in the background, because all the music is just phenomenal in this game, and the story and everything that you could do, especially with like Dante and all of his weapons, like the freaking motorcycle and stuff. All of that is amazing. I think if there was any cons with this game, it was short. It was like 10-15 hours long. It was short, and I don't like that. I wish it was longer. I wish it could have gone on forever, because I was just having so much fun with it. Not much to say about this game. Just go play it. It's very fun. Number 2. Let's talk about 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Now, I'm going to have to keep this one brief because I'm actively trying to figure out in my head how do I talk about this game without spoiling the entire plot. Because the entire plot, I'd argue, is more confusing than the plot of this one game. I'd argue is more confusing than the entirety of the plot of Kingdom Hearts. The reason being, there's 13 protagonists, and there's so many different concepts and genres inside this one game that it's just very hard to explain. Gameplay wise, it's like half visual novel, kinda, and half tactical RTS type game, like a Fire Emblem type, but I think does it better. I'm not the biggest fan of RTS type games, but I think this game did it really, really well and kept me engaged. But if you want me to go more spoilers, go watch my quick review on it. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember, but pretty sure I went into more detail on there. But long story short, I think this has the best story in any video game. I think this is the best video game story ever, and I would highly recommend that you play it and experience the greatness that is 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Number 1, a masterpiece in every sense of the word. This will definitely be on my top 10 video games of all time list, because it is just amazing. And the story is phenomenal. Once again, not better than 13 Sentinels' story, but it's very, very close. The gameplay is phenomenal. The music's phenomenal. Everything about this game is phenomenal. And that's Final Fantasy VI. This was one of my first quick reviews that I've done on the channel. I do need to go back and replay the game. But, God, this game was amazing, man. Like, the combat, I enjoyed a lot. I enjoyed breaking the combat system, is what I'm saying. I think the combat system, as a turn-based combat system, is phenomenal. But then breaking it and just finding things that work or ridiculously busted or broken or powerful for no reason whatsoever was a lot of fun. And just experimenting with everything was great. And the music was phenomenal. I'll get to that. Actually, I'll get back to the music in a bit. But the characters were all phenomenal. Most of them had a lot of depth to them. You have to understand, there are like 14 playable party members in this game. Not everybody gets their fleshed out story. However, they're still amazing. Like, the ones that do get it are phenomenal. And then the villains, freaking Kefka is, I think, my favorite video game villain just ever. It's like he has a bit of depth to him, but for the most part, he just wants to kill everybody. He's just a psychopath, and I could appreciate like a simple type villain. Kefka, at the end of the day, is just a psychopath, and this is great. It is great. Halfway, he wins. You don't see that often in video games. He wins halfway through. He got what he wanted. Like the world is in, like, the world is in ruin. He wins halfway through. This is not a game that I feel I this is a game that I feel comfortable spoiling because the game is what 23 years old at this point. The game is 23 years old. So if you haven't gone and played it, go play it. It's phenomenal. But it's just amazing. I think this has the best Final Boss theme of all time. Dancing Mad, just each part of Dancing Mad, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. I think my particular favorites like part 2 and part 4, especially part 4. Part 4, like when things start to kicking into high gear, and that iconic the Kefka music that you probably have heard of. It's just so good, and I can't recommend this game enough. Um, it is just a masterpiece in every sense of the word. And that's pretty much it. That's the top 10. Hope you enjoyed. More to come, I hope. Had a lot of fun with these games this year. I think overall for me, 2022 has been a great year of gaming. See you next time. Bye.